Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're cutting straight to the heart of consciousness and consequence. We're looking at a really potent stack of ancient sources. Specifically, just one verse from the Dhammapada, but it's backed by this profound, very specific story.
Right.
And it fundamentally challenges, well, almost everything you might think you know about how spiritual merit and, destiny are actually accrued.
Yeah, it's quite provocative.
So our mission today is pretty laser-focused. We want to unpack this material and really explore whether pure mental intention, just genuine internal devotion, can it entirely bypass a lifetime of actions, or maybe inactions?
And lead to immediate, significant results. That's the key question.
Exactly. Is the mind just like a participant, or is it truly the supreme architect of your fate?
And what makes this deep dive so valuable, I think, is that specificity you mentioned.
Right.
We aren't just theorizing generally about philosophy here. We're looking squarely at Dhammapada verse 2, and it's specifically paired with this detailed anecdote, the story of Mathakundali. And this story, it's like the operating manual. It details exactly how this abstract teaching, the power of the mind, how it operates under, well, extreme pressure.
Okay, so let's establish that foundational principle first, because it's an absolute claim, really.
It is.
Verse 2 asserts, all mental phenomena have mind as their forerunner, they have mind as their chief, they are mind-made.
That puts the mind squarely in charge.
Right, of reality itself.
It really does. We often think of spiritual progress or karma as this giant accounting ledger, like a meticulous tally of good actions versus bad actions.
Yeah, credits and debits.
Exactly. But this verse argues the mind isn't just an entry in that ledger. The mind is the CEO of the ledger. All external actions, whether you speak them or perform them, they're merely reports generated based on the CEO's intention.
Wow. Okay, that dramatically reframes the whole discussion then. So if the mind is the architect, what's the blueprint? Or maybe what's the consequence?
Well, the second half of the verse spells it out. It says, if one speaks or acts with a pure mind, happiness, sukha, follows him like a shadow that never leaves him.
Sukha, happiness. Okay.
Yes, but we really need to define sukha clearly here, because the stakes are astronomical.
Oh, how so?
This isn't just, common happiness or feeling good day to day.
Okay.
The sources explicitly define this promised result, this sukha, as rebirth in the three upper planes of happy existence.
You mean like a celestial world?
Precisely, a celestial world. So the promise riding on potentially just a single moment of internal purity is immediate non-material bliss.
Wow.
And this promise, it stands in really stark contrast to the material failure we see unfolding in the story that follows.
That principle sets the bar incredibly high then.
Absolutely.
If a pure mental state guarantees a celestial reward, how does this story, the story of Mathakundali, actually prove such a massive claim?
Well, let's set the scene.
Okay, let's meet the players. We're near the Jenavana Monastery in Sagathi.
Right. And we have the young son, Mathakundali, who's very ill. And then there's his father, Adinapubaka.
Adinapubaka. Okay, and he's kind of our perfect test subject for pure materialism, isn't he?
Absolutely. The sources call him very stingy, and they confirm he never gave anything in charity, ever. Never. And to really grasp the depth of his miserliness, you need this detail. He was so cheap, he personally crafted his own son's gold ornaments.
He made them himself.
Yes, just to avoid paying a goldsmith's workmanship fee. Think about that. His love for his child was literally measured against a labor cost he wasn't willing to pay.
That's at an extreme prioritization of wealth over basic human connection. Or even parental feeling.
It is, and this pattern continued even as the son was dying.
Yeah, you mentioned he was sick.
Critically ill.
Oh.
But the father only consulted a doctor when it was far, far too late.
Why so late?
Presumably, trying to wait out the illness, save the consultation fee.
Unbelievable.
Exactly. And this brings us to the father's final, almost cruel act of stinginess. It's quite heart-wrenching. When Mathakundali was clearly dying, the father moved him out of the main house.
Moved him where?
Carried him out onto the veranda, the open porch.
Why would he do that?
The sources are very specific. This was done so that any visitors, people coming to mourn or just check in, wouldn't be able to see the father's possessions inside the house.
He moved his dying son outside to hide his furniture.
Essentially, yes. Mathakundali is dying, physically exposed, spiritually neglected, solely because his father values his inventory more than human dignity. His son's dignity, even in death.
That's the harsh reality then, this grim material backdrop.
Yes, and it's this reality that the power of the mind is supposed to transcend in this story.
Okay. So into this grim setting steps the Buddha. On that morning, the Buddha, arising early from deep meditation, specifically a meditation of compassion, he saw Matha Kundali.
Yes, the sources say he saw the youth in his net of knowledge.
His net of knowledge. What exactly is that? Is it like foresight?
It's a crucial clarification for you, the listener. The net of knowledge isn't just general foresight. It's the Buddha's precise, sort of supernormal awareness of where a being's consciousness stands.
Ah, okay.
And crucially, when they are ready for immediate, profound transformation, he recognized this unique window of opportunity.
So, seeing this window.
He intentionally positioned himself near the house while entering Savathi for the morning alms round. It wasn't accidental.
And the action required was, well, it was minimal, wasn't it? Almost passive yet targeted.
Extremely minimal. The Buddha simply sent forth a ray of light.
A ray of light.
Yes, just enough to draw the youth's attention. He was facing inwards, towards the house, remember?
Right, towards the possessions his father was hiding.
Exactly. So the light drew his attention away from that, away from the obsession with the material things, and towards the source of compassion standing just outside the door.
Okay. And Matha Kundali sees this light, sees the Buddha.
And the true miracle is what happened next. Because Matha Kundali was too sick to move, he was too weak even to speak.
So he couldn't do anything physical.
Absolutely nothing. No offering of charity, no final verbal vow, no bowing, nothing. He could only act mentally.
Just with his mind.
Just with his mind. And the sources state he passed away right then, with his heart in devotion to the Buddha.
Wow.
This singular, pure mental act, without any of the traditional physical merits, it was deemed unequivocally to be enough.
Just that one thought, that feeling of devotion,
Yeah.
enough. That's astonishing.
It really is.
So if the mind is the architect, this was the moment he laid the foundation, right, for his new celestial home.
That's the idea. And the immediate result. His rebirth, instantaneous, fully decked in glorious celestial form in the Tavatimsa celestial
Yeah,
world.
instant consequence. Based purely on his internal state at that moment.
Exactly.
But wait a second, doesn't this story, doesn't it fundamentally undercut the whole system? You know, the system of accumulated karma, good works, observing precepts, all the things the sources generally promote.
That's a great question.
If one pure thought can just negate a lifetime of inaction, or maybe even bad action, how do the sources justify this massive loophole?
That is precisely the critical question that the original audience raised. It must have seemed just as radical then.
I bet.
And it's why the proof that followed is so important, so dramatic in the narrative.
Okay, so what happened next? The father.
Well, Matha Kundali, now a celestial being, a deva, saw his father, alone, mourning at the cemetery.
Oh, wow.
So he appeared to the old man, first in the likeness of his former self, his son.
To comfort him?
Or guide him, actually.
Right.
Eventually, he guided the father to invite the Buddha to a meal at their house.
Ah, bringing the Buddha back to the scene.
Exactly. And it was at this meal that the core philosophical question was addressed head on.
The question being,
Was one moment of pure mental devotion truly sufficient? Could it really override the adverse circumstances of his death, his father's stinginess, his own lifetime of, well, zero charity? This was the essential test of the principle laid out back in verse 2.
so how did the Buddha answer?
The answer was definitive. It was visual. And it was public, in front of others.
Okay.
The Buddha simply willed Matha Kundali, the deva, to appear in person, right there.
The actual celestial being appeared.
Yes. He soon appeared, fully decked out with his celestial ornaments, confirming his successful, glorious rebirth in the Tavatimsa world.
Wow. That must have been quite a sight.
Absolutely. And this dramatic proof convinced the audience right then and there. Simply devoting one's mind purely was enough to attain much glory, as the text says.
So the visual proof sealed it.
It did. And thus, the Buddha grounds the specific anecdote right back into the universal principle by reiterating verse 2.
Remind us again.
The mind is the chief and forerunner of all phenomena. Matha Kundali's experience proved that Manasasipasanana acting with a pure mind is the primary, the ultimate driver of destiny.
The profound part for me, though, is the lasting consequence this event had. Not just on Matha Kundali, but on the materialist father who caused so much of the initial suffering.
Yes, Adinapubaka.
Seeing his dying son's single thought literally create a celestial being, that realization must have completely shattered his whole material worldview.
It seems it did. The sources confirm that both father and son attained Sotapadhi Magga and Sotapadhi Phala.
Sotapadhi, what does that signify exactly?
That phrase, Sotapadhi, its vital context here, it translates roughly as stream entry.
Stream entry.
Yes, this isn't just general spiritual improvement, like feeling a bit better. It signifies the first irreversible step on the path to full enlightenment.
Irreversible.
Irreversible. For the father, Adinapubhaka, the possessive, stingy Brahmin, this meant his mind was now permanently set on the path of liberation. He was free from the grossest mental setters, the strongest attachments that had defined his life.
That's incredible, a total turnaround.
A complete transformation. And we get the ultimate external physical proof that his internal architecture had been totally rebuilt.
How so?
Remember the man who couldn't pay a goldsmith?
Or let mourners glimpse his furniture.
That same man, Adinapubhaka, went on to donate almost all his wealth to the cause of the Buddha's teaching.
Almost all his wealth.
Almost all of it. His material obsession effectively died the instant he truly understood the power of non-material intention.
Wow.
And what's fascinating here is that the son's internal act didn't just save himself.
Right.
It caused a tangible generational change in the father. It demonstrates the verse's power to impact the external world profoundly, not just the individual's next life.
Okay. So wrapping this up, what does this deep dive leave us with? What's the core takeaway?
Well, the key takeaway seems stark, really. The source material makes a devastating case that internal purity, internal intention, even if it's only achieved right at the final moment, it can utterly redefine your consequences. It can override the weight of material action or inaction accumulated over a lifetime. The mind isn't secondary here. It's presented as the master engine.
It's a master engine. I like that.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture for you, the listener, the implication is pretty profound, isn't it?
How so?
If a single mental act of pure devotion achieved on a deathbed, under the most miserable circumstances imaginable, if that can override adverse karma and guarantee celestial existence, then what is the cumulative effect of your constant mental state? Conscious, subconscious, the thoughts you have right now today. Every thought, according to this teaching, carries immediate weight. It's actively shaping things.
So if your mind is, as the verse says, the shadow that never leaves you, perpetually following you, shaping your reality.
Right.
Here's the final provocative thought for you to consider. Do you dedicate as much energy, really, to purifying the quality of your thoughts, your internal architecture, as you maybe dedicate to managing your external actions, your possessions, your reputation?
It's a challenging question.
Because according to these sources, the quality of your internal life isn't just commentary, it's already mapping your future.